The point that I was thinking on the way back from the swimming is that related to this discussion of the passage being different for each person,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a simple, easy process, at least the way I see it. There's a saying of the EQ Zen master who is saying there are various ways to climb up the mountain, but if you go up to the top, you see the same moon.
Mm.
So the passage to go up could be different, and I see it because I have my passage, you have your passage, and Dan, I thought he's got the passage from the sports and all that. He's a baseball kind of thing, and each can think that's the only passage, but in my view, I doubt that.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Yeah, and the point of the picture that I have is like this. I use the word mini-me.
Mm-hmm.
There's me, we think, and actually Eckhart Tolle was talking somewhere about the concept of I. I represent certain framework and often connected to ego, because it comes with it. All the things get mushed together to hi, how are you and I'm talking, and then this guy did so much, and all the experience of what he caused me for suffering or whatever, or the pleasure, paint the picture of him as the one identity as me. But my view was related to mini company. Mini me is the way that it's not necessary. So depending upon the situation that you are in and what habitual pattern and stuff the pain body would pop up, it may pop up in a different way, because it's like again, this is related to the neuroscience and the programming, that if you look at the picture of the brain, and there are different parts of you have different experience and the logical construct of me and that person and what happened, WOF or the problem or the martial art or whatever, there's all the tangled, the branches of the connection, and the me can be broken down to different set of identity, mini-me, and the mini-me can be broken into certain area. If it's relationship, maybe different, and all that kind of stuff. So, and that has its own synapses, and depending on the stimuli you get from outside, that synapse will fire, not the whole, but one area, but it functions in such a manner that occupies the mind, for the mind to look into that and look what's going on, and that spread out to all the connection to go with it, so that we get tangled up in the process. That's why the danger of the neuron, the logic, depending upon the use of word and the concept, has I call the danger that if you only look at that as the way how we behave, that may be the way how the brain may behave. But when it comes to the whole construct of who we are, I call it the mind and the body, or mind and heart, or the brain and heart. So the brain part is added on after a certain evolutionary process because that's what it is. If you look at the chimpanzee, we have 99% similar, or 9.3% similar, and the rest of 0.3 is the difference of DNA, and which create this and all the new functions and the words and the complexity that we come up. But therefore, where it came from has lots of information tucked under, which we may not see, but in DNA, in terms of your parents and ancestors and experience, it's kind of like unconscious part of we are, because it's not necessary to deal with in living life, and it's handier to talk about you and me and do this and that and this pain and that pain or joy. But it's only look at the piece of the puzzle but we are not the whole within the mind, but we have all the accessories and the rest of the construct that we got. So when it comes to the enlightenment awakening, we talk about the life energy, and what it means is that there's a living stuff that is flowing or blocked, if not flowing, and therefore you are occupied in the brain, that as I talked about, and the way constructed into certain area, the firing of the neurons, and it's a beta wave, and in only certain area, and the try to figure out, therefore the mind function is try to grab whatever that can come, and you start to focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
And when it happens, you lose the balance, and therefore the disconnect of the brain and the body exists. And that's the reason why that we need to look into the be conscious of unconscious that we talked about.
Yeah.
Unconscious part is that something is the basis of where we came from. And there could be those negative mind habits and so forth. But all the way, they call it in Zen, original phase before your parents are born or something like that, which is pointing to the root of our being.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the word laws of nature
mm-hmm.
to manifest in the manner of evolution that we came, and that's within us.
Mm-hmm.
And when that is unblocked, the flow of energy, and that mind is not disrupting because the energy is so strong or lively, and that's where we came from, that's why we live, and all the mini me of the kidney and lung and all the things are helping each other. Mind doesn't do it. It's all helping among themselves, and it really is the process of working together as an organic mechanism to make sense out of what we have. So the chimpanzee and all the plants, and they do it, but humans that added this new dimensions, I call the 2D universes, the
2D,
brain, and that is the reason why the connection, alignment, clarity, openness, bottleneck to the opening up. That's the kind of notion that I was talking in the new video that I posted. So that's basically, and then when it goes back to the awakening situation, it's the connection between those two, and I can see it from my experience. Maybe you can. But in terms of the passage of how we came to the point, and then this is the discussion of having had the awakening experience, and then, so what is the next question? I may have mentioned about the Joshu and Nanzen, the discussion, and the Joshu asked Nanzen, what is the ordinary mind? And Nanzen says, what did he say? No. What is the way? And the Nanzen says, the ordinary mind is the way. How do I get it? Joshu asked that. Nanzen answers, if you seek for it, you cannot find.
Yeah.
That's the mind function.
Yeah.
And then the Joshu says...
and you can't ever find anything that's lost.
So how do I know if I get it? And then Nanzen says, if you get it, it's kind of like a blue sky, open and transparent.
Yeah.
And you know it. And with that word, Joshu got the enlightenment. That's the story. But there's a saying, this is called this gate, 19 or whatever, the number I don't remember. But the point is also to say that was the awakening, but it took 30 years for Joshu to get into the practice and work on it. So it's not just the Satori or enlightenment, but there's the Gogo no Shuryo, after awakening training, the process of learning is required, which is like digging up all the other blockages to open up the bottleneck and then clean up, and then you become to the point of what you're talking about, that mind flow freely and you can dance with it.
Yeah.
But it can happen, but when something happens and all the pain body pops up, then you get it caught up, and then you have to learn to snip it or just accept it, just be.
Yeah.
And that's the essence of what this is about, is the kind of story. Yeah. So the bottom line to the original discussion that you're asking me about the passage and how it's different, everybody's pain body and the habitual pattern is different because of their early days of the learning, the imprint from parents on the setting and stuff like that. It's not easy. So what does it mean? So that's the question. Yeah. So one of the answers, if we just keep on going because we are talking about this, that I thought is, you remember I gave the reference materials, and that has lots of questions area. But the topic in there, I put, whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, but let's find the destiny, what life's destiny or something, and find a way. It's kind of like find a mission. I use the word Ten-mei, order from heaven.
Yeah.
Ten is heaven, order. So you start to know why you are here, what you do, what is my destiny, how do I get it. I'm hoping that will be kind of universal idea to each to find, and everybody's different because of the background.
Yeah.
So it's fair game, but where do you stand, and where are the opportunities? And the way I explain is that find what you really like.
Yeah.
That's the source of the energy.
Yeah.
Like being a child.
Yeah.
And if you can entertain yourself with that question of what's interesting, in my case, Zen and the Sutra was difficult, but that was interesting. I thought I can enjoy my life just studying and figuring out, because that sounds like a right thing to do. I mean, at least that's part of my stuff. So those are the guiding posts, or the way that I want to find my. So that's why I can last long to do whatever I like. So if we can identify that and have those reference point, like a triangulating, and then synthesize out of what you gain, and then do the PDCA cycle plan to check out, and then you change the course as you go. That's pretty much one way I can think about. But then also title Sila, Samadhi, Panna, which is you do the right conduct, what you are to be able to do, and there we can come up with a brain explaining what could be the right conduct. I don't know if I can explain this well, but there's the rules that somebody, we already have discussed, and many people talk about in the quotations. There are those diamond, some sparkling element, and those or like a daily stoic. There's the Seneca and all these guys talking about few words, and the Zen has a Zen saying. So back to this philosophy and so forth, we can come back to the origin of those wisdom, understand the wisdom and have someone connect and have the reference and apply, and then find the wisdom coming out of it. Then we can be encouraged to learn, and then along with the life profile or whatever, the black dog exercise, and have a journal to know where we are, and for us to possibly to help along the way as much as we are doing our own. And what Eckhart Tolle says quite right, that he is not the teacher, and the reason is that he's not to tell you what to do. So it's the same concept that I have. Ask the question.
It is. Ask the question. And there's no.
Because you have to have the pain body, and we cannot say much, and therefore, unless you have the energy and interest, it doesn't happen.
No, and it's interesting because right now I think it's very, in the time that we're in, and also how the energy feels. It feels a lot different, like we were talking about this year, because our habits and different things and models aren't working anymore. That's producing a pain body, which is allowing people to kind of get out of their mind and into their heart and figure out how they want to live.
And if they don't, they start to use the brain that they know how to use and start to fight against all the difficulties.
And suffer.
And that's a very painful process.
It is. But what's also fascinating around this time is that when people are accessing less things and having to go more internal with...
They can, So many may be doing,
but the other thing is I find it fascinating because I have a lot of my clients that just in the past year, and I'm very interested to talk to them now, but like they're like, I don't know what makes me happy, which is fascinating.
They are saying that?
They're saying like, I don't...
Well, that's the right question to ask.
I know. It's like...
And you have to stay with it.
Yeah. And I think it's fascinating.
That's the painful process of looking at yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to
stay with that.
So we have to encourage that
ask the questions.
Yeah, and have some kind of a platform
Yeah.
to share it and encourage to connect or share the experience. And my experience with working with the companies, I draw a picture like this, A, B, C, D, different mini companies moving up this way, and one may go much faster than others.
Yeah.
But by comparing it, they can learn with each other.
Yeah.
And, continuously working, and if you can align ourselves with that same principle of PDCA or continuous improvement and sharing, and have a platform to share it, whether it's use Facebook group or whatever, and also meeting face to face.
Yeah.
And each may do the journal or the life profile or whatever, and then bring back and talk as a group, but maybe also possible with a facilitator of some kind.
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of a structure
that sounds great.
Yeah.
It is, because it's all about asking the questions and having these conversations.
Yeah, that's right. And everybody's take is different. That's okay.
It's awesome. It's great.
I don't know if it's great or not, but that's what it is. Because that's nature's way of us to figure out. Because nobody's telling what to do.
Yeah.
Everybody has to figure out.
Everybody's different. There's not model.
That's right.
We just share the experience, and I think even just us sharing our days and how we met at the exact time that fit for both of us without us planning anything.
Right.
We had to let go of the mind a little,
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's and that experience, how it happens, what it triggered, and
the mind wants to, this morning I was like, one of, how people talk, and we work with companies about productivity and to-do lists and all that kind of stuff. That's, daily I'm not operating like that anymore.
So one of the Tolle's pointing, and this is out of the
it's fun.
8 sessions that I watched, and and that,
where's that 8 sessions? That's
I
right.
can show you.
Yeah.
But I've written a 15 pages summary.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're amazing.
Maybe 10, but
this is great.
But the first session, I have to remember the word because I keep forgetting, but it's something like don't trust your mind too much.
Yes.
Exactly. That's the whole point. I mean, as I mentioned about what neuron and firing and what get tangled in and caught up and all that.
Entangled. That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Because.
But you can see it, but most people don't. Many people cannot see it.
But
because that's where we are too. We get into the bird in the cage that we get this WOF or whatever the problem happens. So what do we do? There's not much choice. If you think that's the only game in town, then that could be the case. But there's lots of other games, and there's a way to address it. And one point I was listening to Tolle, and he said something wonderful. I know the rough area, but I haven't found that same sentence again. But he had a lady who was about to pass away because of cancer, and he was visiting and talking this and that, and she lost the diamond, ring or something, and she's very depressed, and she was thinking maybe the maid may have taken it. So listening to that, Tolle mentioned that I have few questions. I don't remember all of them. And one of the most important at the bottom, he said, is because by that time he felt she is more brightened up and felt the issue, the subject of being, who she really is.
Yeah. So
his question, as I remember, my way of remembering is that because you lost it, do you feel that sensation and the aliveness, or what was the word I used? The sense that you found of your true being, would that be reduced because you lost the diamond?
Oh, that's good.
Isn't it?
That's brilliant.
It's so brilliant.
Is your inner being, so because you lost a diamond, do you feel like your inner being is reduced?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
That's perfect.
That's the kind of question, though.
That is totally to the point.
Because it's like
alignment.
That gives me chills.
Oh yeah, I know. Where are you? Just this. You lost it. Well, are you lost it? You check. Are you aware or not? That's another question I asked. That am I aware or not? You can be able to. You can only answer if you are aware. You can answer that question. But if you're aware that you're already aware,
yeah, and that's why it's funny that
it's a paradoxical thing.
It is. That's why it's really funny when we're talking about the Dan guy, and he's like, "I want to have a conversation about awakening."
Yeah,
and it's like you don't say that if you're
right.
having a conversation. You know what I mean? Like you and I just talk, and we're like, "Oh yeah, I understand."
Yeah, you don't start from that one. I doubt it because
I don't start from there.
Yeah,
but everybody's different. But I think this is the perfect time for this, because the only way that we can operate from more here and more alignment is becoming, like Eckhart Tolle says, the power of now, extremely present.
Yeah.
And being aware.
Yeah, right.
But if you're in a pain body, and this is...
So that's the struggle of...
That's But what happens is because of, my struggle, I literally get up and I have to... What can I do to be happy? What can I do to be happy? Literally. And I've been doing that for like a year. I just get up and I'm like...
Right.
That's all. I have enough stuff that I can... What do I need to do today? And there are
lots of technique like that, lots of questions like that.
Lots of questions
and
like
today I was having those questions and some of the technique too, and I'm connecting to what I did with the company and working. And one of the ideas was simplify, combine, and eliminate.
Oh, I love it. Okay, well, let's record it. Simplify, combine, and eliminate.
So
That's
I
really
put
good.
in my book about it, and then,
good.
But that has to be applied, and the way that I saw that applied is that in the reference materials, it's kind of generic, and then I have a special corner for me to look into more of a spiritual part of it, and I'm aligning, I'm just adding more information which may not fit to the general public or at the beginning, but it can start from there. But eventually, because that's where I'm most interested. So I may not be much interested for the rest of it already because I've done quite a bit. Yeah. So now I'm on my own field and I can play. Yeah. So what was I? I'm thinking of the simplify, combine, eliminate, and then they start with just like you say, how to make yourself. So how do you organize things? What are the priorities? What are the lists that you need to do? Yeah, so I want to swim. I want to do this. I want to do and then listen to Tolle or something. Yeah. And I check, and you don't have to do everything. No. And you just every day you just refresh and PDCA. Right. Exactly. That's awesome. Because what I did the other day is instead of writing a to-do list, I wrote things I did. So I wrote, instead of saying things I had to do, I got up in the morning, I got up and I drank coffee and I looked at the sunrise. Because I already did it. Yeah. So it was check. I was like, I did it. Oh, no. So I already started with a feeling, a sense of So people can start different place and that's open. Yeah. And that's the way I like it. I want to be ambiguous. Yeah. No, it needs to be because everybody, even though we're all getting to the top of the mountain. Pattern and so forth. Yeah. And they want to start from, that's okay. And that's why I think the other thing is that's why the hero's journey is fascinating. Yeah. Because there's millions of ways the hero does that journey. I know. That's the whole point of it. Because so you can't be species, well, you're going to go here and there's a model. It's that's the circle. That's the thing. And it goes back to many companies because you're at the center, your connection to customer supply is different and that influences differently and what your mission could be different from the background and your parents and all that. So your destiny will be different. And there's so many species. Oh, that's just and fun. That's for you to find out. I know, and if we know it's boring. I know, and we want to be exploring as the hero to do that. And every day I was like, and I look at the sky and the cloud, beautiful, and I'm here. I don't know, I know. We can do this game. I know it's a game, and it's like sometimes I'll be like, if you're more aware, I went on the red bridge. You can talk more. Yeah. You can you find out more things that you like because you're present. You're like,
oh, I didn't know that I really like that flower. And oh my gosh, is that a different bird I haven't?
Or like he's talking to the guy at the parking lot, and
Yeah.
he's standing there, and and then we're starting to talk and digging.
Yeah.
There's those things that connect each other.
Yeah.
So he's inviting
Connection.
me to go boat fishing together.
Oh my God, that's awesome!
And
Of
that
course.
happens. And every encounter with anyone, when you walk
Yeah,
around,
exactly.
that's what happens.
Exactly.
So when Donald was passing by, can I go? And then we went and have a drink, and that's the beer I was drinking. And then 5 minutes, then I come back.
So, and that's what happened.
What?
At the same time, I feel like the system under which people are getting an education is going to be...
Well, that's why that Elon Musk and what's the name of that education process that promote people to find what they like and expand to that.
Which is what we're...
I think that's a European, whatever the term, I forgot. But it's more in line to this kind of thinking. So that
in line with what we're talking about.
Where do you see your energy flowing the most interesting and vibrant manner?
Yeah.
And if you can find it, and if you have the life aligned to that direction, that will make a huge difference.
And connecting to nature is one of the main things as well.
We can still start doing it too. That's the point of it, right?
Yeah.
And why waste our time?
No. Yeah. We're doing it every day.
Yeah, right.
Literally. I find it to be fascinating. Like, literally, I had no plans today, which is, none. And if you look at what I did, talking about it, like, I did 3 sports, 2 pieces of art, and then it's only 4 o'clock, and I got to come talk to you about this.
Yeah, I listened to some of the video stuff and went swimming, did some writing, and had a chat.
And met, like, all of us. I had 3 new connections, too.
I think that's the point of the circle and confirmation of the values and approaches.
Yeah.
And encouragement and stimulation.
Yeah.
That's what we need. Yeah. And if we can, let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, and I think also the main thing is because you and I, started, wherever we started, and we've been on this journey, and, there's good days and bad days. I had a couple bad days, but, you just get back up and get up. Yeah, exactly. So what was I going to say? I feel like, I feel like there's, what people are going to be craving is a starting, not a model, but a starting point, which I do think it's about emotion. Like Elon, what you were talking about with Elon Musk, it's like, well, what does happiness feel like? And what we used to do, and this is maybe you have information, or because I've been kind of thinking about this, what we used to do is, okay, let's go back and figure out where we were happy, and this is how we did it in sport, and we'd figure out like when we were at peak performance and then try to embody that. I think with the energy, I think possibly some of our happiest times are going to be in the future.
Well, I guess the way I would say it is that may be different for each person. So,
it's going to be different for...
Don't develop the one scenario, but same story
but,
of that.
But I'm
some
saying,
may be
like,
more heavily, based upon the
past,
and some are less so.
In the future?
Yeah. So,
that's true, because
that's what it is.
But, but is there... Okay, so this is
the
another
point that I
thing.
learned from working with the organization is stimulating point. How to develop that. That's the fun.
That's it.
The
stimulating point. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I created that's why the fun is so important.
So you actually created.
Yeah, the users group or the open day for mini company, and they can have a booth or share it and then discuss which more they discuss and how they accomplish and all that, their own situation may not apply the others,
I love it.
but stimulate and
so that's
how they come up with that.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's it. So if you do the PDCA and the journals and all that, they all have the story.
Yeah.
But what's interesting in organization, and this applies to the society or whatever, is that there's a news medium that's not the one, but you can create your own platform and share it.
Yeah.
And in the company, they have different departments. They don't talk to each other.
Yeah, I
they're
know.
all siloed and closed in. They speak different language and all that.
Yeah.
So that is clogging up the whole system and blockage. It's the same thing that I was not transparent.
It is. Yeah.
So in one of those videos, I said about the glass wall management versus brick wall management. Brick wall is protecting and the silo, and the glass wall is openness, transparency.
Yeah.
That is opening up all the, we are the same, and we have a principle, we have a common goal. What do we do? Are we helping? And when it happens, this company guy visit this area and he has a problem. I can help you on this, and because we need to do this, I can help. Then you can achieve that. We can all benefit.
Yes.
That's the kind of a self-managing process with a platform to make that synthesis of the ideas to happen. Yeah. That has to happen within each person.
Yes.
But as a society too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's the.
So that's done.
That's
I've
perfect.
done.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I asked the question. I was like, I knew you'd have the answer to it because I know you've done that. Yeah. That's perfect.
I think so. So it's less.
That is
much less hierarchical, more catalytic approach.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And ownership has to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
well,
that's
and I think,
that's
like
the
you said,
truthfulness,
glass and brick.
Yeah, sincerity and truthfulness is the foundation to be like that.
And then understanding we're all one. We're all...
Yeah, the source could be one and is one to be realized.
So if I'm helping you, we're in the company, well, that's part of our nature. That's part of our nature to want to help each other because how we got developed to get this far, not by our own effort, but someone's effort, we just may not realize as much. Yeah.
But if you are in a position being helped, then you start to know how wonderful it is, and then you want to,
reciprocate,
and then start to build up, and it's organic.
Yeah, it's organic, and that is again what's happening vibrationally and frequency wise now. That's different. Not necessarily. It's always been going on, but we're really being faced with it. I feel like I'm having a lot of these conversations.
So I guess the point is that the priority of the day. Yeah. There's negativities, but we want to focus on the things that we can do that is positive and all that, and that's the priority instead of spending time to worry about it and so forth. So you have to kind of draw a line and prioritize it. Yeah. And that's part of the managerial process.
Do you think though what you were talking about? I think this comes back on a kind of a spiritual perspective of the mind connecting with that part that is triggered. Like, so you're...
Yeah, the mind starts to function with the line to life energy. So that is like
for the bad part.
Horse and the rider is now together. Yeah. Instead of separate.
Yeah. The horse and the rider is together instead of... Yeah.
That's the idea that we need to... That's the best management and the connection, alignment. Yeah. But you may fall along the way before you get there. But you have
I'm talking... Yeah. I think it's interesting because if you describe like... If you're, for example, with the garage guy, it's your mind was focusing on one thing, or I was, and you can't stop thinking about that one thing. And no matter how much you try to have fun or whatever, it's kind of like...
get stuck there.
You kind of get stuck there for a little while until it, like, bottlenecks itself,
So those are again, important incidents that we need to talk and to think about, not to say... There's always a right way and you can read this and do this. Yeah. But each of us need to sense the approach without the mind almost because...
I know! That's the hardest thing is because you want to...
So that's the artistic part.
Then we go back to the model. Yeah.
Yeah, the mind is very linear and the clogging up, but the more perspective, balancing, synthesis, and again back to the unconscious part of the connection. Those are the various approaches that we can work on. Yeah, we need to work on. Yeah. And the logical mind can help to do that. Just like the discussion we had about if your true self value, would that be diminished?
That question is so good.
So that's
that is like the question.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
Is your true self value diminished by?
Do you do that?
But sometimes the mind is like, yes. If I don't have that house, my true self is diminished.
Yeah.
Which is the ego.
Yeah. That's the
separation consciousness. It's like your soul. Right. You don't have any. Your soul is your soul.
And if we can have this conversation between like you and me now, but with more people,
yes,
that is it.
Yeah, it's
I think
fascinating,
so.
And then it's also
there's a structure and the system that we can come up.
Yeah,
we should work on that.
Yeah, we should work on that, and I think. There's going to be something about the hero's journey and the mountain, and I
like
those.
the fact that you like the term.
I love the hero's journey.
So we need to start working in that journey. And by the way,
and with all those the questions and the fun, and also remembering, it's really good that we caught up with how we did our days, because the last 2 days I was in there, and today I wasn't.
Yeah, okay.
At all.
Yeah,
I was like, because, sometimes you go so far down, there's no way, no other way.
Maybe I had the garage thing going on anyway. So.
Yeah, you had the garage thing, and
now I get to swim and all the other stuff popping up, having a beer or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, the questions...
So we need to be gentle to navigate, to know each other and relate to each other, what's going on, and sensitive about it, I think,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think it's...
But like you're saying that there's a connection or the energy transfer or identifying with that sensation that solidifies and confirms certain principles.
Just literally... Because you and I were both in flow today. We weren't in flow the last couple of days because I was in my brain and you were garage guy. So we were connected. And then today we just did our day and then met without even.
Yeah.
So to me, not proving things, but I like a little. You like a little bit of proof. But
that's okay.
Yeah. But I think it's kind of cool because the other thing is that.
Just like my story of the Michael Peters and the Eckhart Tolle and the Tao Te Ching and all the AI stuff.
Yeah.
And, that's true. I mean, those are bubbling up. And
they all come. Yeah, and but the other thing is that it's fun.
Totally.
Because to be like, oh my God, that worked. Yay! Or it's just, it gives you another emotion.
I think the childlikeness is so important because
100%.
We get too stiff and cautious and worried if I say wrong and what happens.
And
that's the mind playing.
And those are the programs that
And the kids, I think they're not developed so much in the logic part of it, so they're kind of stupid or fun.
Yeah. Well,
but
and you don't
we
have
get damaged, after getting all the logic and what you need to do in this scenes, and then you start to clog up all the system with all the stuff. So you have to kind of massage it all the time to.
That's a really good.
That's always an analogy that I talk to my client. I need to massage this, and so that the blood flows better.
I like that. Yeah. That's exactly how it is. It's circulation, really.
And that's how you learn the surfing and all the sports is nothing but that.
Yeah.
Because you cannot teach on the blackboard, the whiteboard on how to do it, and nothing works. Some of the idea you may get, but you have to go back and forth and back and forth. Yeah.
But once you feel it, then and that's why I really like when things go in flow, and then you get little synchronicities about things. I feel like it's on the right path. And really, if you're happy, that emotion means you're on the right path. Don't you think?
Yeah.
The emotion either of
so
disconnectedness.
That's why I use the word gyroscope. We need to have the gyroscope to know, like a biofeedback.
Yeah.
Of the life energy.
Yeah.
And I gave a seminar in high school, and I said that this is PDCA, this is how you navigate, but you need to have a gyroscope. But I'm not gonna tell you what that is. But you have to find it, because if you know that, then that will guide you the direction that you want to go. And then after I did that, this young guy, maybe 17 years old came, my answer to that is Waku Waku.
Oh!
I got the word from him.
Seriously?
Yeah. And I mean, he knew it. And I like that. Powerful. I mean, that's
strong.
That's how we learn.
I know,
okay?
it is.
We don't.
Yeah.
We can learn from
Experiential.
anything.
Yeah.
From anything.
Yeah, it's all experiential.
And if we can learn from anything, that means we are open for that.
Yeah. And these are key things: the open, the non-attachment. God, that question is it? That's like mind
powerful, right? And
that
he said it and keep on moving, but. Wait a minute, what did he say? And it's only 2 days ago or something, and I haven't come back, but it stays there like you taste. It doesn't go away, right?
No.
It's so important.
It's the most important is that, yeah.
And that's happening, all right? And we can talk about it.
That's like
I'm happy that I can talk about it.
I know.
I mean, is that fun?
It's super fun.
How can I be possible to communicate with anyone?
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's awesome.
So it has to be possible.
Yeah.
And that's worth it.
Yeah.
Totally.